I met an atypical princeling from the Beijing social circle. As soon as we met, I fearlessly said, "You should be wearing a suit and leather shoes, with a special assistant on the left and a driver on the right. As soon as you open your mouth, it's woman. Are you playing with fire?" At the end, I added another sentence. All princelings from the Beijing social circle are like this. Handsome guy. Crazy. The lives of people in Beijing are also lives. When I first came to Beijing, driven by curiosity, I dragged my suitcase and rushed to the Duzhi fermented mung bean juice shop. As soon as I took a sip, my face reacted faster than my brain. The painful expression came on immediately. Before I could get over that sour and stale taste, I heard muffled laughter coming from beside me. It's the first time I've seen someone drink Duzhi as if they got an electric shock. Me. So embarrassing. I looked in the direction of the sound. I saw a very tall guy sitting there with a mask loosely hanging under his chin. When he saw me looking at him, he still laughed, his shoulders shaking without restraint. "I'm angry. Are you polite or not?" The guy laughed enough and got up by leaning on the table. With one long stride, he sat opposite me. Me. "Could it be that you still want to mock me face to face? Sister will tell you that sister is not a vegetarian." The guy wasn't that mean. With a hook of his long finger, he pulled away the bowl of light green and dark Duzhi and replaced it with a delicate box of small cakes. I was completely confused. What's going on here? Has Beijing's tourism industry started doing something special? Randomly sending handsome guys to give small cakes to tourists? Perhaps my expression was too vivid. The handsome guy tilted his head and laughed a few more times. After a long time, he cleared his throat and said, "Are you Aunt Shang's daughter?" Called Jean Yu? I had a blank expression. "Cynthia." "Oh. Sorry." He was grinning. I didn't see any apology at all. But when he said this, I remembered. Cynthia. Nicknames Yan Yu. A miserable soon-to-be senior high school student. Without lofty aspirations. Loving freedom all my life. Facing only a 2-week summer vacation, I resolutely refused the voluntary tutoring class organized by my homeroom teacher. I shouldered my bag and said I wanted to go to Beijing and have a try. Ms. Zhang chased me half a street with a feather duster. In the end, her old waist couldn't hold on and she gave up. All right. If you want to go and play, then go. Don't find so many reasons. I'm not going to play. This is called reading 10,000 books and traveling 10,000 miles. Come on, don't I know what kind of person you are? Ms. Zhang's stalking rested for a while. But I'm not at ease if you go alone. I'll find someone to accompany you. I don't want it. Having someone with me makes me feel not free. Really don't want it? Ms. Zhang tut dit Weiss. That's a pity. A princeling from the Beijing social circle. Someone licks it so happily in novels every day. What? I slammed on the brakes, turned around, slid and knelt down, and hugged Ms. Zhang's thigh. "My dear mom. About the princeling from the Beijing social circle. Tell me more." The memory stopped abruptly. I looked at this atypical princeling from the Beijing social circle in front of me suspiciously. He had clear and moist peach blossom eyes. The lines of his jaw, shoulders and neck were neat and beautiful. The black t-shirt set off his fair skin. I smacked my lips and asked, "Are you Aunt Cian's son?" The handsome guy nodded. "Yes." "Why?" "Looking at your expression. Don't I look like?" "No. It just doesn't feel right, very wrong." The handsome guy raised one eyebrow slightly. "What's wrong?" "You should be wearing a suit and leather shoes, with a special assistant on the left and a driver on the right. As soon as you open your mouth, it's woman. Are you playing with fire?" At the end, I added another sentence. All princelings from the Beijing social circle are like this. Handsome guy. Crazy. The lives of people in Beijing are also lives. Seeing his speechless expression, I finally felt that I had taken revenge for his laugh and me drinking Duzhi chai. I opened the small cake and ate it happily. A handsome guy also realized it. Helplessly leaning back on the chair, he muttered, "This little girl is quite vindictive." I was not convinced. Who said that? I'm not vindictive at all. 3 years ago, a traditional Chinese medicine doctor said that I was narrow-minded and vindictive. I still think it's pure nonsense until now. The handsome guy paused for 2 seconds and burst out laughing. Could that traditional Chinese medicine doctor be your mother? Of course, no Tage. How do you know my mom is a traditional Chinese medicine doctor? The handsome guy raised his eyebrows. Otherwise? Guess why I'm sitting here? I tilted my head and thought seriously for 2 seconds before suddenly realizing my mind was really not working just now. I actually forgot that this princeling from the Beijing social circle, who is accompanying me, was introduced to my mom by Aunt Sen. Aunt Sen is my mom's patient. My mom cured her headache that had lasted for many years with 3 courses of acupuncture. She was so touched that she immediately bought a suite near my house and planned to live there and have other ailments treated. After coming and going, she became good sisters with my mom. She originally wanted to recognize me as her godreader. My mom didn't let her, saying that it would seem like our family was climbing up. I spent a long time persuading my mom to let me come to Beijing to play this time. It is estimated that Aunt Sen saw it a few times, so she took the opportunity to propose to let her son take me to play. It fulfills one of my wishes, and can also repay some of my mom's kindness. Thinking of this, I was a little worried and looked warily at the person in front of me who was looking down and swiping his phone. Will you report my itinerary to my mom? The handsome guy was amused and angry. Am I that idle? I deliberately looked him up and down with an extremely distrustful look. Before he got angry, I withdrew my gaze with a playful smile. I'll barely believe you. After swallowing the last bite of the small cake, I wiped my mouth clean, and then remembered to ask, "What's your name?" The handsome guy answered unhappily, "Joshua." After saying that, he silently smiled for a moment and added, "You little girl are really carefree. I said I would pick you up at the high-speed railway station. You didn't let me. You sent me a location, and asked me to take a taxi by myself. As a result, as soon as you got off the car, you went into the Duzhi shop. I sat next to you and stared at you for a long time, and you didn't notice. Now you remembered to ask the name." Joshua paused and gave a thumbs up. Strong. Me. Bad review. I don't like it. I won't listen. After teasing me, Joshua rested his elbow on the table and asked me what scenic spots I wanted to visit. When it came to this, I got excited. I counted enthusiastically while bending my fingers. National Museum, Forbidden City, Temple of Heaven, Great Wall. Joshua listened and nodded as expected. Do you have an appointment? I was confused. What appointment? Joshua curled his lips, still wearing that knowing faint smile. He got up and pulled my suitcase. Then it seems that we can only eat roast duck today. There should be eating roast duck on your plan book, right? I guiltily stuffed the pink notebook into my pocket. How do you know everything? He smiled. Account people who come to Beijing for tourism plan like this. As Joshua said, he took off the baseball cap on his head and put it on my head. The sun is strong outside. Wear it. He led me out and stuffed the suitcase into a low-key black car. I don't recognize the car logo. I only recognize my dad's Volkswagen. The rest are all treated as non-Volkswagen. The car stopped in front of a store without a signalboard. I poked my head and looked. Then I turned around and asked, "Isn't it for eating roast duck?" Joshua unbuckled his seat belt. Well, this place has roast duck. Mention Quanjude. I'm almost sick of eating there. Every time relatives come to Beijing to play, they all have to eat at that place. I blinked and silently swallowed the words that had already reached my mouth. The owner of the restaurant is a very beautiful aunt. As soon as we entered, she warmly greeted us. After chatting with Joshua for a few words, she bent down and pinched my face. Are you Drive Shang's daughter? I heard Aunt Joshua mention it. Your mom is really amazing. I'll fly there to treat my ailments someday when I have time. No problem. I'll ask my mom to give you a discount. The owner was a little surprised. Okay. Just because of what the girl said. Today's meal is on me. Joshua. Take the girl to the old place and sit down. Joshua agreed and led me upstairs by pulling my school bag strap. Did you bring your ID card? I'll make an appointment for you. I brought it. Joshua took it and looked down at the phone screen. In a calm voice. He said, give you a heads up in advance. It's summer vacation now. There are extremely many people at every scenic spot. I waved my hand generously. It's okay. If there aren't many people. It's not fun. Moreover, with my years of experience in grabbing food in the school cafeteria, I am confident to fight my way through the crowd. Joshua chuckled. However, facts have proved that the school cafeteria is still too conservative. I just slept in a little in the morning. And then I encountered the visiting army of the Forbidden City. No joke. Probably there weren't so many people when Queen Long ascended the throne. I was pushed around like a top. All I could see were the backs of people's heads. I looked up and looked at someone who was tall with long legs and had a good view with a somewhat resentful look. I said something abstract and stupid. I really envy brother. Unlike sister me. I can't even see the plaque of sincere and upright clearly. Joshua glanced at me. Suddenly he raised his hand and pinched my waist and lifted me up. As soon as he did this, the eyes of people around instantly focused on us. Can you see clearly now? I hurriedly covered my face. I can see clearly. Put me down quickly. As soon as my feet touched the ground, I hid in the corner. Woo woo woo. I will never play abstract again. Joshua chuckled. Completely unaware that at this moment, an introverted little girl was quietly broken. But except for the extremely large number of people, the Forbidden City still fulfilled all my fantasies about it. Alas. Envy everyone who has lived here. Wearing a bed sheet, in the Forbidden City. The sense of substitution must be amazing. Joshua is a qualified tour guide. Just a bit sharp-tongued. He seems to know everything. Every time he comes to a palace, he briefly introduces it. Then he lets me go and have fun on my own. Oh, by the way, he takes extremely beautiful pictures. Everyone who understands, the pictures taken by a certain fruit phone's original camera are even better than those taken with beauty filters. Just because of this, I can forgive all his disrespect. When we walked to the Palace of Imperial Supremacy Affairs, I quietly approached and asked him, is this the place where eunuchs had surgeries? Joshua didn't hear clearly. He slightly bent his back and got closer. What? I pretended to be shy. Oh. It's the place for eunuchs. You know. Joshua frowned slightly. After a long time, he reacted. He was both speechless and amused. Pointed to the right, there is the Palace of Heavenly Purity. Behind is the Hall of Mental Cultivation. The place where the Emperor lives. Having surgeries for eunuchs here. With one cut. If they let out a scream. What if it scares the Emperor into paralysis? I pouted. But that's how it's shown in King Palace dramas. Well, only you. This little fool. Believe it. Me. At this moment, a little girl with strong self-esteem is quietly broken. Joshua called me a little fool. I ignored him all afternoon. After leaving the Forbidden City, I folded my arms and pretended to be aloof. I walked very fast in front alone. Joshua's soft laughter came from behind. He easily caught up, raised his hand and tapped the brim of my hat. Your legs are so short. But you move quite fast. Me. Are you polite? He seemed unable to see my angry eyes. He said to himself, that traditional Chinese medicine doctor is really right. You are quite vindictive. Me. Polite? Seeing that I was about to run away again with a turn of my head, he quickly grabbed the back of my collar. All right. It's my fault. I'll treat you to a meal to apologize. Will you give me this chance? I was stubborn. Just one meal will send me off? Then wouldn't I be? Copper hot pot with sliced mutton. Yes. Yes. I must give you this chance. Mouth watering. Joshua burst out laughing. In the end, we didn't have copper hot pot with sliced mutton. Joshua received a call on the way. After hanging up, he turned to me and said sorry. My friend has an event. I promised before. But then I forgot. Can you accept that a dinner for 2 people turns into a group of people? I pouted and thought for a while. What are they eating? Joshua curved his lips and reported the name of a restaurant. My eyes lit up. I can accept it. I can accept it very much. It's not that I have no principles. But I'm really greedy. For this trip to Beijing to play, I made a 3-page travel guide. 2.5 pages of it are about food. That's why I made so many travel guides. But I actually didn't know that many popular scenic spots need to be reserved. Joshua changed direction. Soon stopped in front of a low-key restaurant. Before getting off the car, I couldn't resist making a sarcastic remark again. Mr. Joshua, the princeling of the Beijing social circle. When your friends see me, will they say? I exaggerated, shook my head and said in a shrill voice, oh, where did this country bumpkin girl come from? Is she worthy to eat with us? Doesn't she weigh her own status? Joshua's hand that was unbuckling the seat belt paused. His temple twitched. He turned his head with a blank expression and glared at me. Classmates Yan Yu, can you read less brainless novels? I chuckled and quickly got out of the car. The restaurant in front of me seemed unremarkable on the outside. But inside it was a different world. Rockery, flowing water, gravel path. There was even a white peacock. As I was walking, I suddenly raised my hand and pulled Joshua's sleeve. Approached and whispered, "A evil capitalist." Joshua quickly covered my mouth. Glanced sideways at the waiter leading the way in front. Whispered, "Be careful what you say. There are many people here. If you are surrounded and beaten, I can't save you." I knew he was joking. So I rolled up my sleeves and showed him my flat biceps. I am invincible in no. One middle school. The title of big sister from my little brothers is not bragging. Joshua turned his head and chuckled. Pressed down the brim of my hat. Behave yourself. The waiter led us into the private room. There were quite a few people gathered in 2s and 3s inside. One of the boys was surrounded. There was also a birthday hat on his head. When we entered, the noise stopped for 2 seconds. Joshua is here. Joshua is here. Oh, whose girl is this? Joshua is in a relationship. Rubbish. Do you see how old this little girl is? Joshua led me over. Signaled the boy wearing the birthday hat with his eyes to come out and control the situation. All right. All of you. Don't you know who is the main character today? After the boy finished speaking, he pretended to casually raise his hand and adjust his birthday hat. Everyone laughed. You. No, it's you. Come on. Let's have a drink for the birthday star. The waiter knocked on the door of the private room at the right time. Can we serve the dishes now? The boy put down his glass. Serve quickly. Serve quickly. I'm almost full of wine. There were 2 tables in the private room. Joshua took me to sit at the table where the birthday star was. After the dishes started to be served, everyone went back to their seats. Joshua briefly introduced me. So the topic shifted to me. The birthday star is called Samson. He has an outgoing and generous personality. He is very good at handling things. I know you. Little girl. Your mom is a miracle doctor. On the surface. I waved my hand modestly. Not at all. Not at all. Inside. Ms. Jane. You really give me face. Your mom is so amazing. You should be not bad either. Come and feel my pulse for me. I've been feeling backache recently. Joshua, who had been burying his head and drinking tea, raised his eyes, blocked Samson's reaching hand, said in a calm voice, "Come on. Do you think medical skills are inherited from the womb? By being influenced. The girl beside Samson couldn't help but pat him on the back of the head. It's by being influenced imperceptibly. You still have the nerve to say that. Uncle Shen has been so powerful in the business field for so many years. But you still fail every time you start a business. Relying entirely on the old man to clean up your mess. Samson smiled and was completely deflated. I, who had been silently invisible beside them, raised my hand quietly. With innocent and clear eyes. Actually, I know a little. Joshua was choked by tea all of a sudden. Turned to look at me. Smiled helplessly. Classmates Yanyu. You are making me lose face. At 8 o'clock in the evening. In the Changhan private room. The waiter was waiting outside to serve the dishes. After knocking on the door several times, and getting no response. So he quietly pushed open a crack. At that time, I was pressing Samson's wrist. With a solemn expression. Seeing that I didn't speak for a long time. The person who was originally grinning couldn't smile anymore. Samson swallowed. What? What's wrong? Joshua stood by with his arms folded. Pouring cold water with a smile. As the saying goes. Don't be afraid of a traditional Chinese medicine doctor smiling. Just be afraid of a traditional Chinese medicine doctor with a low brow. After hearing this, Samson was struck by lightning. No. It can't be. I withdrew my hand in time. No. No. It's not that exaggerated. Samson immediately breathed a sigh of relief. But that breath was suspended again. What? Samson was almost crying. I hesitated for a moment. Didn't dare to say. After all, this was a major matter concerning privacy and dignity. Joshua raised his eyebrows and looked at Samson. They are asking you. Can you let her say it or not? Samson drooped his eyes and brows. As if making a certain decision. Say it. Then I can really say it. Brother. You are a bit kidney deficient. Samson. Everyone was stunned at first. Then burst into laughter. Damn it. Samson blushed. Muttered for a long time and squeezed out a sentence. Little girl. Your medical skills are not good enough. Joshua chuckled. Pushed him away from me. Come on. You insisted on having her feel your pulse. As soon as Samson got up, the girl who had been sitting beside him and also laughed the loudest came up. Come. Little girl. Feel my pulse for me too. Sure. I smiled sweetly and put my hand on her pulse. After 2 seconds. I didn't say a word. Looking at this beautiful young lady in front of me who was smiling brightly. For the first time. I suspected that I might really be not good at medicine. What's wrong? The beautiful lady asked a little nervously. I hesitated again. Can this be said? The beautiful lady waved her hand grandly. Just say it. I can bear cancer and tumors. It's not so serious. I paused and said in a low voice, Congratulations. Sister. You are pregnant. Alas. I thought it was some serious illness. What? The beautiful lady's voice cracked. The Changhan private room was in an uproar. The waiter silently closed the door. 2 seconds later. Samson jumped out like a monkey. Followed by the beautiful lady. Samson. Damn it. I'll kill you. Don't chase. Be careful not to affect the fetus. I trembled in the private room. Turned and asked, Joshua. Did I cause trouble? Joshua chuckled, and put a piece of beef in my bowl. It's okay. Samson's dad should thank you. Even though Joshua said so. I still felt a little guilty. When I returned to the hotel at night, I couldn't help but call Ms. Zhang via video and told her about this. She was so angry that she scolded me for being naughty. You. A half-baked person who just picked up a few medical books and followed me around. Dare to feel people's pulses? Do you know that for a happy pulse, you need to ask questions? I was guilty and picked up my fingers. Then what should I do? At that time, I was carried away by their praise of Ms. Jane. I felt like I was possessed by Ms. Shane. I couldn't resist pretending. Now. It's overdone. I hate it. Miss, Shane glared at me angrily. You tell Xiao Shi. Let him contact his friend. Explain clearly to people. As Ms. Zhang said. Her tone changed. Are you sure you felt a slippery pulse at that time? I was tearful. Nodded quickly. Sure. I was fascinated by King Palace dramas for a while. Curious about how the imperial physicians knew that the concubines were pregnant as soon as they felt their wrists. So I found several medical books by myself. Just to learn to feel the slippery pulse. After reading for several months. I had the theoretical knowledge. But still lacked practice. Just at that time. Ms. Zhang received 2 pregnant women who came for conditioning. I hid from her and secretly asked those 2 pregnant aunties to let me feel their wrists. Tonight. The beautiful lady's pulse was very stable. The slippery pulse is the only pulse that I have really learned seriously. There is no way I could feel it wrong. Seeing that I was so sure. Ms. Zhang hesitated. If it's really a slippery pulse. There is a possibility of pregnancy. To be on the safe side. You ask Xiao Shi to tell his friend to go to the hospital for an examination. Don't delay the important matter. I nodded repeatedly. Immediately hung up Ms. Shang's call. And then dialed Joshua's number. Hello? The call was answered quickly. Brother. It's extremely urgent. I repeated what Ms. Zhang said. After Joshua listened. He didn't have much reaction. Just answered, said it. Joshua chuckled. I brought you there. Of course I will take responsibility for what you say and do. It's okay. Go to sleep quickly. After I listened. I was immediately moved to tears. Woo. Brother. You are so kind. Joshua helplessly. As long as you don't call me the princeling of the Beijing social circle again. I can be even better. I silently looked at the note I gave him. Feeling guilty. Won't call. Never call again. Joshua chuckled. Okay. Hang up. The call was hung up. I looked at the note interface and hesitated for 2 seconds. Won't change. I have already practiced being duplicitous at Ms. Shang. Joshua informed me in advance that we would go to the Temple of Heaven the next day. He asked me to get up early. Otherwise, it would be another tour of the whole park carried by manpower and without touching the ground. So I set the alarm clock early. As a result, I still overslept. This alarm clock seems to never ring except when I don't need to get up early. I stared at the 8 missed calls in my phone and thought it was over. Without time to think. I quickly got up, washed up, and rushed to the hotel lobby. From a long distance, I saw Joshua sitting on the sofa, drinking coffee calmly. I had a sincere attitude of admitting my mistake. Sorry, brother. I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again next time. Joshua chuckled and pushed the breakfast on the table to me. It's not a big deal. Oversleeping is very normal. Isn't it? Really? My eyes lit up immediately. Well, eat breakfast quickly. I breathed a sigh of relief. Sat on the sofa and said move lie. Whoa. Brother. It's so nice to have you. All right. Joshua raised his hand and patted the brim of my hat. Aunt Shang cured my mom's headache. I really should say thank you. He changed the topic. But there are probably a lot of people today. You should be mentally prepared. Joshua was too conservative. There are not just many people at the Temple of Heaven. There are extremely many. After we visited the Hall of Prayer for Good Harvests, we followed the crowd all the way to the Echo Wall, seeing the fan-shaped floor tiles in circles. I immediately got excited. Oh my God. I tell you. It's this floor tile. For that sequence problem in the college entrance examination. I did it 3 times and all were wrong. I'm really frustrated. Joshua chuckled. Well, I have seen it before. Amid the noisy voices. I didn't hear his words clearly. I just walked forward on my own. What are you doing? Joshua followed. counting the floor tiles. I said angrily. I have to see if there are really that many. Joshua laughed and lifted me up by pulling my collar. More than 3,000 pieces. Are you crazy? I was extremely distressed. Crazy. Driven crazy by sequence problems. Joshua smiled and pulled me away. Pointed to the Tianxin stone in the distance. Do you want to go up and take a photo? I quickly shook my head. No. No, it's too embarrassing. 2 minutes later. I stiffened my neck. Said stiffly, take a beautiful photo. Joshua smiled and agreed. I wanted to cry but had no tears. This is not what I want to take. Ms. Zhang insists that I take it, saying that it will be placed in her consulting room. Not caring about the life and death of her introverted and sensitive good girl at all. Having learned the lessons from the Forbidden City and the Temple of Heaven in the previous 2 days. The next morning, I got up early and was ready to challenge the Great Wall. As soon as I arrived at the southern section of the Hero Slope, I was defeated by the crowd and the scorching heat. I collapsed on the steps, holding Joshua's calf, feeling that I was not far from ascending to heaven. Unless there is a Tibetan mastiff chasing me now. Otherwise, I can't move at all. Joshua took out a bottle of ice water from his bag. Originally wanted to hand it to me. Seeing my flushed face, he put it back. I widened my eyes and looked at him resentfully. You don't let me drink water under such a big sun. Do you want to murder me? Joshua silently inserted a tip into a bottle of Hu Oxiangzeng, key liquid, and stuffed it into my mouth to stop my mouth. You look like you have heat stroke. Drinking ice water now. Do you want to invite me to a funeral feast? You are too polite. I wanted to refute, saying that I am as strong as an ox now, but thinking of the knowledge about heat stroke that Ms. Zhang usually taught me well, it seems a bit true. In the end, Joshua carried me down. I was like an octopus and collapsed on his back, looking at the Great Wall behind me with some regret. Alas, it's so hard to come here once. But I only climbed such a little. It's said that one who fails to reach the Great Wall is not a true hero. As a result, I gave up at the Hero Slope. Joshua bounced me up twice and comforted me. Don't worry. I'll take you to climb at night. It's too sunny during the day. My eyes lit up. Really? Can the Great Wall be climbed at night? Joshua smiled helplessly. Yes. Don't move. You are about to fall. In the afternoon of the 3rd day in Beijing, I spent it in the hospital. Just when I was getting an IV drip, Ms. Zhang suddenly called. I seriously suspected that Joshua had tipped her off. Otherwise, how could it be so coincidental? I glared at him. Joshua spread his hands to show his innocence, and then accidentally revealed the chat interface of Xiao LV Pao. Mom. Cynthia has heat stroke. Tell Aunt Zhang. Don't tell her. Aunt Zhang will scold her. What if it makes the little girl unhappy? The little girl loves beauty. She wraps herself tightly for sun protection. I advised her but she didn't listen. There is still 1 day left. If it's always like this, it's not good for her health. I was angry, but I couldn't express it. I could only press the answer but unresolutely. Miss Zhang's voice was quite penetrating. Little Cynthia. Are you? I want to die. I want to die. I answered smoothly, which stunned Ms. Zhang. Sorry. Mom. I will never dare again. Mom. I feel so uncomfortable. Mom. I miss you. Woo woo. There was dead silence on the other end of the phone for about 20 seconds. Joshua was almost paralyzed with laughter in the sofa. Don't give me this. Ms. Zhang was still very angry, but her tone had unconsciously softened. I took advantage of the victory and pursued. Okay. Mom. I will never dare again. I swear. Ms. Zhang had heard too many of my odes. She had already put me on the list of untrustworthy people. Come on. Now recite the summer heat prevention formula that I taught you. My temple twitched. I silently glanced at the person who was smiling and watching the show in the corner. Really? Mom? Your daughter will not be able to lift her head in front of the princeling of the Beijing social circle. Ms. Zhang didn't care. And urged again. I closed my eyes and resignedly said, in summer. Drink plenty of water when it's hot. Sports drinks are very good. If you want to go out and play in summer, atypical xiangshu liquid is indispensable. If you feel chest tightness, shortness of breath and muscle weakness, hurry to the hospital. If you want to have a happy journey, remember these 3 points. I recited it obediently. Ms. Zhang was satisfied and hung up. There was a deathly silence in the ward. For a long time, Joshua burst out laughing. Me? I could only smile wryly. At this time, a quiet little girl was completely broken. After finishing the IV drip, Joshua took me to a snack street. Walking to the end here, you can taste all the famous snacks in Beijing. Then I lived up to expectations and ate too much. Finally, I took the cable car to the Great Wall. When we got on the cable car, it was around 6:30. Just in time for the sunset at the Great Wall. I lay on the glass, quietly enjoying the beautiful sunset glow, feeling that my body that had been tortured by school was warm. However, there was someone who spoiled the scenery beside me. Wipe your drool. I subconsciously touched the corner of my mouth, but heard a muffled laugh. I gave him a blank look, collapsed back on the seat and rubbed my round belly. Joshua smiled and asked, "You will go back the day after tomorrow. Where do you want to go tomorrow?" I thought seriously. Shook my head. I don't know. All my travel guides are about food. Now I have eaten everything I wanted. There is no place I particularly want to go. Joshua chuckled. Subconsciously wanted to raise his hand and pat the brim of my hat, but found that I wasn't wearing a baseball cap. So his hand dropped down naturally. "So this trip of yours is just for eating?" "Yeah." Joshua helplessly. "Well, play with me for a day, tomorrow. I have been playing with you these days. I am very obedient." "You are kidding. It's me, who is very obedient. Right?" I climbed up the pole. Made a gesture. "That's right. A little princeling of the Beijing social circle. Easily controlled." Joshua snorted and laughed, imitating my tone in the ward during the day. "If you want to have a happy journey," I quickly covered his mouth. There was a sharp explosion in my heart. But what I said was, "Brother." I was wrong. "Brother." Joshua smiled scornfully. Said vaguely, "Controlled. Me. I am already obedient. Please, let me go. The Great Wall at night is gentler than during the day. The strings of lights are like a giant dragon, coiling among the continuous mountains." For some reason, this liberal arts student suddenly thought of the scene in the textbook when the Red Army set off on the Long March. The torches were winding endlessly. Spectacular and solemn. Every time I see it, it makes me excited. When we were halfway through visiting the Great Wall, I got excited, leaned on the battlements and shouted, "I want to go to Renmin University." Then I forcibly took a photo with the expressionless Joshua. TSK. I was very dissatisfied. Smile. Joshua raised his eyebrows. "Is this how you treat this princeling of the Beijing social circle?" I don't know how many times I have called him the princeling of the Beijing social circle these days. Every time he was both helpless and embarrassed, either asking me to shut up quickly, or buying delicious food to stop my mouth. Unexpectedly, he has learned to counterattack now. Sure enough, joining when you can't beat is the best solution. I gave in. Smile quickly. Smile quickly. If the lights go out soon, we won't be able to take a photo. Joshua turned his head. Beg me. Beg you. Beg you. Beg you. Joshua smiled satisfactorily. In the photo, my face was still slightly red due to heat stroke. The double braids tied in the morning were a bit messy. Joshua stood beside me. His soft black hair drooped between his eyebrows. In his obsidian-like eyes, there were light spots reflected by the distant lights. The photo was frozen at the moment when I was laughing recklessly and he was smiling gently and affectionately. The Great Wall behind us stretched for several miles as a background. On the last day of the trip to Beijing, Joshua came to my hotel room early in the morning and called me. I spread out on the passenger seat, so sleepy that I wanted to die on the spot. Feeling like I am in the first math class on Monday morning. I can't open my eyes. I just can't open them. Where are we going? Big brother? I am really sleepy. Before I could hear what Joshua said clearly, I fell asleep. When I opened my eyes again, I vaguely saw the 4 words Beijing University. I thought I was dreaming. I slapped myself hard and cursed. Damn it. Can you even fantasize about this? The slap didn't land on my face because Joshua blocked it. He pulled the seat belt. Looking shocked. Did you sleep stupidly? I realized. And said calmly, no. I am just stupid. Joshua got out of the car and led me towards the gate. People were coming and going around. I silently grabbed the corner of his clothes. Brother. To enter Peking University, you need to make an appointment. Without an appointment, even if you are the crown prince of the Beijing social circle, it's useless. Joshua raised his eyebrows. I know. I was shocked. Raised my hand to cover my face. You know, but you still walk forward? No. It will be too embarrassing if we are driven out by the security guard later. I am not that thick-skinned, I said and turned to pull him away. Joshua helplessly pulled my hand down. I made an appointment. Can you stop being so guilty? It's impossible. Before I came to Beijing, I checked. The reservation quota was full long ago. I grabbed his wrist. Let's go. We can come again next time if there is a chance. Joshua chuckled, raised his hand, grabbed the back of my collar, and easily dragged me away. I watched him line up, take out his ID card, and swipe the card in despair. Then that small door opened. I think the look I gave him at that time should be no less than the look I gave the top student in our school, who is more than 50 points ahead of the second place. Pure admiration. Without any additives. Oh my God. Brother. How did you do it? Do you know magic? Hearing this, Joshua really raised his hand, as if casting a spell. I looked at him expectantly. In the next second, I was hit by my own ID card. Joshua patted the brim of my hat and said softly, "Of course not. In this world, there is no magic. Me just now. Me now, not he. At this moment. A little girl who likes to watch Harry Potter and has always believed that there is magic in the world, but just can't see it is quietly broken." Joshua took me to visit Beijing Pagoda and Wyoming Lake. The scenic spots that had always been fixed in pictures are now all presented in front of me. I took a few photos calmly, bought some surrounding cultural and creative products, and then followed Joshua out. How does it feel? Peking University, and what you imagined? He asked. I pondered for a moment and said with a smile, it's just so. Wyoming Lake is not as big as the pond in my hometown. I feel that the gap between me and Peking University is a little closer. Joshua chuckled and patted the top of my head. Yes. You used to think it was unattainable. It's just that you have never been in close contact with it. Yesterday on the Great Wall, you said you wanted to take the exam for Renmin University. Why not set your goal a little higher? I was stunned for 2 seconds before realizing what he meant. Immediately, I waved my hand. No, I can't. What are you thinking? Peking University? Even Renmin University is just my wishful thinking. Joshua didn't immediately refute me, or encourage me not to be discouraged. Instead, he said he would drive me to a place. The journey was not long. Passing by Shichai on the way, I quickly rolled down the car window and made a pious bow towards there. Joshua was confused, and asked me what I was doing. I said seriously, someone on the internet said that Shichai is for seeking wealth. I am praying that I can get rich overnight and make a fortune every day in the future. He laughed. Why not get rich overnight now but wait for the future? When she I completely disappeared from sight. I was satisfied and withdrew my gaze. Answered, because if I get rich suddenly now, I won't want to go back to that shitty school. After a while, I added another sentence. I'm also afraid that I can't control myself and use red banknotes to hit our stupid grade director. Joshua chuckled. Well, it's something you would do. The car finally stopped at Lama Temple. I hopped out of the car. I thought where you were taking me. It turned out to be Lama Temple. So mysterious. There are also quite a lot of people here. It seems that there is no place in Beijing with few people. I looked around curiously. Extremely novel. After all, this is the last stop of my trip to Beijing. Before Joshua parked the car and came over, I walked towards the main gate in an unruly manner. As soon as I was about to step over the threshold, Joshua grabbed the back of my collar and pulled me down. What are you doing? The middle is the empty gate. For monks. That's called renouncing the secular world. We walk through the side ones. I was curious. Is there such a saying? Joshua raised his hand to block the sun. Believe it if you think it exists. Don't believe it if you don't. There are not so many rules now. But this is after all someone else's territory. We better follow some rules. I nodded. Followed him to get incense. Passed through the complicated palaces and stopped at a place called the West Side Hall. Where is this? Joshua raised his eyes and looked at the palace. Answered, for praying for academic success. Worshipped. Be sincere. I immediately became serious. Held up the incense and worshipped properly. By the way, silently recited my name. A Jing Dai Di number in my heart. Buddha. Don't recognize the wrong person. My name is Cynthia. From class 2. Senior 3 of Ishin No. 1 middle school. Student number. Please bless me to perform exceptionally well from June 8th to 10th next year. Please. Please. Joshua chuckled beside me. All right. If you shake that incense anymore, it will be broken by you. The Buddha can hear. I solemnly inserted the incense into the furnace. It was not until I left the Lama temple gate that I dared to mutter in a low voice. I'm afraid the Buddha is hard of hearing. Joshua reminded me seriously. Be careful that the Buddha hears you speaking ill of him. I waved my hand. It's okay. After leaving the Lama temple, it's not under the control of the Buddha anymore. Then who is in charge? Under the control of the People's Republic of China. Joshua nodded approvingly. Well, in fact, even without leaving the Lama temple, it is also under the control of the People's Republic of China. The journey from the hotel to the airport is probably the part of my trip to Beijing that I hate the most. The whole journey was listless. In sharp contrast to when I came, Joshua accompanied me all the way to the security checkpoint. Raised his hand and patted the top of my head. Study hard when you go back. I'll wait for you at Peking University. Immersed in sadness, I thought I had misheard. What? Joshua coughed twice. I said I'll wait for you in Beijing. Don't you want to take the exam for Renmin University? I ed and nodded. Couldn't help sighing. Alas. I will have to go to makeup lessons when I go back. I skipped for 5 days. Our homeroom teacher will definitely taunt me. Joshua comforted me with a smile. It's okay. He scolds you openly. You scold him in your heart. For every sentence he scolds you, you scold him to sentences. Just don't really blurt it out. Endure for 1 more year. I nodded. Still not happy. The airport announcement rang again. Joshua urged me to leave. If you are unhappy, send me a message. Welcome to come to Beijing again during winter vacation. You didn't finish visiting all the scenic spots this time. Make it up next time. I nodded and walked away, looking back every 3 steps. After just 2 steps, I suddenly rushed back and hugged Joshua. Thank you this time. I had a great time. Joshua seemed a little surprised. He rubbed my head. Well, go quickly. Half a year is very short. We will see each other soon. I hugged him silently for a while. Reluctantly let go. This time I really leave. Well. Go. I walked forward with my head drooping. Didn't stop until I confirmed that I was in a safe range. Then, under Joshua's puzzled eyes, I suddenly looked up, swept away the gloom of parting before, and shouted loudly at him, "See you later." Prince Ling of the Beijing social circle. Joshua's gentle smile froze on his face. He noticed the burning gazes of people around instantly gathering, almost gritted his teeth and said, "Little Cynthia." I chuckled, and without looking back, rushed into the security checkpoint. Goodbye, Joshua. Goodbye. Big B.I. Chang. Extra. Salted Fish Girls Makeup Class Diary. Annoying. Really annoying. I looked at the dense mathematical formulas on the blackboard, feeling that the whole world owes me 8 million. Our homeroom teacher is really capable. He actually set up a tutoring class in an abandoned sales office. The door is broken. The toilet is broken. The desks and chairs are put together. Anyway, as long as there are students and teachers, we can start learning. I endured the noisy buzzing sound of the air conditioner outside, secretly took out my phone and sent a message. Cynthia is not salted fish. Oh my god. I tell you, our homeroom teacher is amazing. I feel that this tutoring place can open an escape room. I'm not joking. Is the condition very difficult? Do you want me to help you report it? Cynthia is not salted fish. Forget it. There are so many people. Some people want to learn. Guessed it. My desk mate suddenly poked my elbow. My leg trembled. Skillfully stuffed the phone into the crack of the desk. The math teacher has poor eyesight. He picked up his water cup and took a sip of tea, then started talking non-stop again. I was bored, stared at the green branches outside the window and was lost in thought. Soon a class was over. As soon as the class was over, my desk mate excitedly turned around and interrogated me. Oh my god. Salted fish. The handsome guy next to you in that group photo you posted on Moments is so handsome. As a vain little girl, I felt extremely satisfied inside. Pretended to be indifferent and waved my hand. It's okay. Just so. My desk mate sneered at me. But seriously, where did you know him? The son of my mom's patient. I answered briefly. Didn't intend to elaborate. Leaned over and rummaged in my bag for a while. Took out a small box. A gift for you. My desk mate's eyes lit up. Wow. I love you. Salted fish. What is this? A string of beads from Lama Temple. For protecting academic success. After I finished speaking, I took my phone and hid in the toilet. Cynthia is not salted fish. I forgot to ask when I left. What's going on with Brother Samson and Serafina? Joshua seemed to be busy. It took a few minutes to reply. Busy with engagement. Thanks to your divine assist. Samson said he wants to invite you to a meal. Cynthia is not salted fish. Don't hold a grudge against me for saying he is kidney deficient. Joshua sent an emoji. Who would care about a kid like you? I was angry. Treating me as a kid again. After this year's birthday, I will be a mature adult. The way for a soon-to-be mature adult to counterattack is to ignore him. So I took my phone again. Sneaked back to the classroom like a thief. Next. It was endless. Awake sleepy. Awake again sleepy again. I slept all morning. Then was successfully caught by the head teacher and pulled out for scolding. Cynthia. You are in senior 3. When will you stop being so lax? I admitted my mistake obediently. Sorry. Teacher. I will adjust my state as soon as possible. The short middle-aged man in front of me didn't intend to let me go. He looked me up and down with a pair of narrow but sharp eyes. His voice was full of sarcasm. You don't know who you are after playing outside. Let me tell you the ugly truth first. You missed 5 days of classes. If your grades drop later, I won't care about you. People should have self-knowledge. Look at your grades. Ask yourself if you deserve to enjoy. I have never taught a student like you in all these years. I clenched my fist. Remembered what Joshua had said in my mind. He scolds you openly. You scold him in your heart. For every sentence he scolds you, you scold him to sentences. Just don't really blurt it out. And you're for one more year. Okay. I endure. Even the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are not as patient as me. I stood there and endured being scolded for half an hour. When I returned to my seat, I felt terrible. The whole afternoon passed in a daze. Until I got home. I was still in low spirits. Cynthia is back from school? Seeing Sen Lan sitting in the living room, I was a little surprised. Aunt Sen, why are you here? Sen Lan affectionately pulled me over. Your mom developed a new dish. Asked me to come over and taste it. She pinched my cheek and asked gently, how was Joshua as a tour guide? Did he make you unhappy? I shook my head. No. Very good. I had a great time. Then why do you look so unhappy? I forced a smile. Didn't know what to say. Just at this moment, a familiar voice came from the phone covered on the sofa. Mom, if she is unhappy, don't keep asking. Sen Lan took up the phone to satisfy Lai, revealing Joshua's face with some tiredness on the screen. Can't I care about my godrator? Joshua was drinking water. Hearing this, he was choked all of a sudden. When did this happen? How come I don't know that I have such a younger sister? Sen Lan waved her hand grandly. Just now, Ms. Zhang came out of the kitchen carrying a dish. I didn't agree. Don't even think about it. Our family doesn't do the whole Gopteran thing. After saying that, she lifted her sleeve and wiped the sweat on my forehead. Were you scolded by your homeroom teacher? Don't take it too hard. Don't you know what kind of person he is? My eyes became hot. Every time I'm in a bad mood, Miss Zhang can always quickly guess the reason. I am destined to be a mommy's girl. I hugged Ms. Zhang's waist crying and complained to her about our homeroom teacher's outrageous words for 10 minutes. Woo woo woo. He said that I only think about playing all day and have led my deskmate astray. Ms. Zhang patted my head. All right. Let's not take it to heart. It's easy to accumulate heart fire. Wash your hands and eat. Sen Lan also came over to comfort me. Cynthia, it's okay. When you grow up and think back to today, you will find that it is actually just a very, very small thing. As long as you look at it from a different perspective, no one can affect you. I sniffed and hummed. Threw my school bag on the sofa. As soon as I took out my phone, I saw the new message on the lock screen. The road is long and arduous. But with perseverance, one will reach the destination. Come on. Classmates Yan Yu.